where to turn off before we get there. Drive for a long time. Almost to Canadian border, and he tells me to turn off at muddy dirt road. Engage 4x4 mode. Escalade goes full beast mode as we head down what feels like a logging road. Sure enough, I have to pull over for a logging truck to pass. Truck driver is all, what the fuck is an Escalade doing here? Carl explains the loggers are coming into their tribe's territory and have repeatedly ignored their warnings about staying off their land. Ryan laughs. We continue up the logging road until we pass the loggers' camp. Just a bunch of trailer trash mobile homes parked in a row with a big ass generator feeding the trailers. Beer cans everywhere. Jeff sighs seeing the mess and directs me to speed up. I do, but only so much. The mud makes driving a bit difficult because of the huge logging truck ruts in the road. Escalade slides a bit around the turns and the guys think it's cool that we're drifting in a luxury SUV. Me? Not so much. We come up to a clearing that leads to a large cattle ranch style fence. Fence is maybe 10 or 12 feet high. Reminds me of an old western movie Fort Wall thing. Jeff tells me to stop before we get to the fence. Ryan and Carl get out and Jeff and I stay in the SUV. Ryan walks up to the wall, looks like he's talking to it. Carl stands in front of the SUV with his arms crossed and legs spread like he's a karate master trying to show off. I pick up my phone to message Central, but there's no signal. Great, now I'm going to get scalped and I can't even tell anybody about it. Jeff notices me waving my phone around for signal. No signal out here, Dave. We brought a satellite phone though. You mind if I use it to let my boss know that I'm safe? Sure, we need to call our wives and tell them we made it too. You're welcome to use it after us. Thanks, Jeff. No problem. Just be quiet for a while though, okay Dave? I'll let you know when it's okay to talk. Your tribe doesn't like the white devil. Something like that. Jesus, could you be more ominous? I cross my arms and wait for whatever is going to happen next. As soon as I do, the fence opens up. This part is kind of weird because the fence doesn't look like it has a hinge to open, but it opens up just wide enough for the Escalade to get through. Carl steps onto the running board and holds onto the luggage rack. Go ahead, Carl knows what he's doing. Ryan hops on just as we pass by the fence. He rides the same way Carl does. We travel onto a wagon trail, trees framing either side. I see a clearing up ahead. We drive into an old-time log cabin-looking community. Solar panels and a water wheel seem to feed the town. A stream runs by the village. Dogs and kids are running around. A bunch of people wearing flannel shirts and jeans stop and watch us drive in. Everyone is super-duper native. Jeff tells me to pull up to the cabin nearest to the entrance to their village. Carl and Ryan jump off as we come to a stop. Jeff tells me to stay in the SUV until he comes and gets me. I shrug and put the Escalade in park. Jeff, Carl, and Ryan go into the cabin. An hour goes by and they don't come out. I recline the driver's seat and put my hands behind my head. I wake up to Jeff tapping on my window. It's dark now, the radio clock says it's been about 4 hours. Goody. My back is going to love me for sleeping in the SUV. Dave, come on out. I get out of the Escalade and Jeff takes me into the cabin. The cabin is maybe a 3-bedroom. There's a young guy with short hair sitting at the dinner table. He remains stone silent as I enter. Jeff tells me to sit. Ryan and behind the cabin. Dave, this is Ben. The young guy sits up and extends his hand to me. Nice to meet you, Dave. Same to you, Ben. I shake his hand and we talk for a bit about who I work for, and how I feel about native land rights. Ben nods to Jeff and they both get up from the table. I start to get up but Ben puts his hand on my shoulder and shakes his head. You're here for the weekend. We have strict rules about whites in our village, and I can't have you walking around. Jeff tells me you're a smoker. You have permission to leave the cabin and smoke by your truck. Other than that, you're to stay in here and wait for Monday. I look over to Jeff, who shrugs. Fair enough. It's your village, and I'm just the driver. Ben nods to me as he, Jeff, Ryan, and Carl head toward the door. You're a good man, David. I trust you to obey my wishes. I give him a thumbs up and get up from the table. Ben, Ryan, Jeff, and Carl leave. Great, now I'm stuck in a cabin all weekend. The cabin has indoor plumbing, a fridge, radio, and plenty of books. No TV. Perfect. Bored out of my head, and trapped in a tinder box. I step out onto the front step for a cigarette and notice that the kids, dogs, and people are all inside. Just me and SUV out here. I go back in and lay down in the biggest bed in the place. Well, it's not so bad. I wake up a little before dawn to the sound of coyotes howling nearby. Well, that's a fun noise. They're loud and annoying, so I go to the window to see what the problem is. I see 3 or 4 guys on horses with torches chasing the coyotes toward the loggers' camp. Well, that's weird. I figure it's them trying to chase the loggers off. Well, I'm up now. I brew myself a pot of coffee using their old-timey stovetop coffee maker and wait for the sun to come up. I step out onto the step again and have a smoke. Kids are outside lugging firewood, the dogs are gone, and the adults are milling about gathering eggs or whatever natives do. I sip my coffee and smoke. The day goes by uneventful. That night I hear the coyotes again. I get up to go the window, but it's really dark tonight, no moon I guess. Probably rain clouds. I get my phone and turn the flashlight function on. Holy fucking shit balls. I turn the flashlight on and there's a dude standing outside of my window. He's looking in at me, and the color of his eyes is gone, like his eyes are rolled back into his head. I jump back from the window and rush out of the room. I shut the door behind me and go into the bathroom where there aren't any windows. I wake up in the morning in the tub. Definitely wasn't a dream. I'm not nuts enough to sleep in the tub for the hell of it. I get up and go out for a cigarette. As I open the door, Jeff is standing there. I drop my cigarette and lighter as I back away from the door. Jeff puts his hands up and steps in. Whoa. Okay. You need to calm down. Fuck you, I do. One of your buddies was peeping Tomming me with dead guy eyes last night. Dave. It was just a precaution to make sure you weren't sneaking out. So a guy stands outside the bedroom window pretending to stare at his own brain. Jeff explains it was part of a ritual and that guy was just making sure I wasn't causing trouble. He was being an ass and rolling his eyes back to scare me. Well, fuck that guy. Jeff laughs and brews a pot of coffee for me. It tastes orgasmic. He smokes with me outside and I feel better about what happened. Ryan and Carl come to the SUV and take the big trunk out of the back. Ben stops by and apologizes for the freak out. He assures me that no harm was intended. I trade jabs with him about culture, but we end up laughing it off before parting ways. He tells me there's a thunderstorm due tonight and that I need to keep an extra pair of panties handy just in case I get scared. Har har. No kids today. All day. Just the women folk milling around the village. After dark I step out for a smoke, and notice a huge bonfire down by the stream. Too far away to see much of anything, but what I can see is they have a bunch of dead coyotes in the fire. Purify the land, I guess. I go in for the night. I hang a blanket over the window this time, just in case my stalker shows up. I lay down and assure myself that this is the last night of this shit. I wake up around 2 a.m., my phone's charger is cutting out, making the phone flash on and off as the power is interrupted. Cock crash. A thunderclap brings me up out of bed. The flashing outside is like camera flashes, the brunt of the storm is upon this village. I've seen thunder before, but this shit was nuts. I get into the fridge and decide to have a couple beers to calm my nerves. It's a native brew in glass jars. I pour it into the coffee mug I've been using and turn the radio on. The radio is fuzzy, but my music and the beer calm me down. The thunder pounds on the village for another hour or so before it moves off. It gets dead quiet for about 10 minutes before I hear gunshots. I set my mug down and step to the kitchen window. I see the lightning bearing down on the loggers' camp, at least where I think that's coming from. The gunshots are coming from there too. I listen for a bit and figure they're probably chasing off the coyotes. As I turn away from the window, I hear the door handle of the cabin rattle. I pause. I feel my heart rise up into my throat. Oh fuck this, it's probably Ben coming to see if I shit myself. I open the door. It's Ben, but he's half naked, covered in tribal paint that's running down his body thanks to the rain. Hey. Ben stares at me for a long moment before turning away from the door and walking into the darkness. Jeff, Ryan, Carl, and a bunch of other guys walk by the door too, headed toward the loggers' camp. I step out onto the step, but the guy with the rolling back eyes shoves me back through the door. He leans in at me and growls. He leans back away from the door and lets me shut it. I sit down with my back against the door and proceed to swallow my heart back to where it belongs. Stay put. He growls through the door before I hear his boots smack against the gravel near the step, and he leaves. Fuck me. Fuck me. I fall asleep there and wake up to a knocking at my door a little after sunrise. Hey Dave, you up? It's Jeff. I crawl to my feet and open the door. You look like shit. Thanks, can we leave? I ask. Jeff tells me that he's ready, and so are Carl and Ryan. I take a shower and brew coffee while they load up the SUV and say their goodbyes. When I come out of the bedroom with my suitcase, Ben is sitting at the table. Ben turns to me. Thanks for bringing them here. He gets up and leaves. $200 is sitting under my coffee cup. Not worth it? So not worth it? 200 tip, but it's so not worth it? Jeff, Card, and Ryan are in the SUV and I load my stuff up. As we pass through the gates, I see smoke pouring up from the trees where the loggers' camp was. I swallow hard. The guys joke about the women at the camp being ugly and fat. I stay quiet as we come into the loggers' camp. The trucks are gone. The generator is smoking and half melted. I slow down by one trailer that has sunk into the mud, almost tipping over. There's a black streak running from the door to the front corner of the trailer. Jeff tells me to speed up. I pause and he nods to me, confirming my wide-eyed expression. We drive a little further and a tow truck is pulling one of the logging trucks out of the ditch. It went off the road and landed on the cab. Bloody glass is everywhere, the cab of the truck is smashed in. The driver was probably crushed to death. We go around the truck. Once at the airport, Jeff, Carl, and Ryan get out and I help them with their trunk. It smells like fire now. Ashes and fire. Jeff shakes my hand and leaves. Carl and Ryan do the same. I tell the whole story to Central and they think I had too much of the peace pipe. This past Halloween, I have no kids, and my nieces and nephews are too old for anything I need to attend to feel like part of the family. Central has me booked for the night running trick or treat.